Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my ranking of the early to mid 2000s Doctor Who stories. Well, basically we're just ranking the 4 webcasts from worst to best. Basically that's what this is going to be. So the stories we've got are Death Comes to Time, Real Time, Sharda 2003 and Scream with the Shauka. So this should be a particularly easy ranking to make. So yeah, it's just these 4 2001 to 2003 webcasts. It's the last 4 Wilderness Years stuff that I reviewed. So yeah, we'll do the overall ranking next, and that'll count as one of the series rankings, whilst this one and the 1990s Wilderness Years ranking stuff will count towards the decade ones. And then there's the 8th and War Doctor moments, which will count as Doctor ones. Same with the Wilderness Years Doctors ranking. So let's get started with number 4. Number 4 is not canon in the slightest. I mean, none of these are technical. Well, maybe the Sharda is, but the rest are not really canon. And this one is definitely the least canon. Well, no, it's not the least canon. But if it was canon, then it would technically be the end of Doctor Who. And I don't think it would have gone out on a very high note. Plus, erasing the TV movie is never a good idea, especially as it pretty much lays the groundwork for Doctor Who Series 1 and the rest of the new series afterwards, plus Big Finish's continued 8th Doctor audios and the BBC 8th Doctor books. So, yeah, this story taking out the movie out of existence completely changes Doctor Who as a whole. And this is Death Comes to Time. It's not here because it erases the TV movie out of existence. It's because this isn't really a very good story. There's some good elements, but I think it could have been handled a lot better. Especially parts 3 and 4, where they keep going back and forth between 2 things going on, and they couldn't seem to focus on them for more than a couple of seconds at a time, and really think that they have to keep cutting back and forth, otherwise we'll forget about them, as opposed to maybe doing a few minutes with each and every one of them. Bit of a tonal shift in part 2 to what was going on part 1, going in 5-part version, not the 13-part version. So yeah, like I said, a bit of a tonal shift. And yeah, it's quite a complicated story, and it's 3 bloody hours. I don't think it needed to be 3 hours. I think, well, it's nearly 3 hours, or just over 3 hours at the very least, and the very most. I don't think it needed to be that long. I think it could have been a little bit shorter. Maybe not as short as Real Time, but certainly maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. There's quite a bit of stuff that may not necessarily be that necessary. Or maybe it could be 2 stories, a 2-parter maybe, 2.5-hour episodes. But the story, it's just, no, that doesn't make it any better. It's just, this story is not that good, and the fact that the Doctor dies at the end, it's quite shocking, but yeah, doesn't count it as a canon story. It's just included here because it's a bit of fun. So yeah, that's Real Time. It's not that brilliant. Number 3, this story also doesn't have that great writing, but it's much more rewarding on a rewatch and more likable. Number 3 is Real Time. Now, this story definitely isn't canon as far as the audios are concerned, leaving this as the story is left on a cliffhanger that's never resolved. Yeah, that tends to happen these days, and this story came out in 2002. But the positives include Colin Baker being great. Evelyn Smythe was technically my first proper experience with Evelyn Smythe, although the audio Jubilee shortly followed. And yeah, I love her, Evelyn Smythe. She's brilliant. She's definitely if I was doing a Jubilee versus Dalek video, probably do one for the Universals after I rewatch Dalek, which the review will come when I've done that. I might do a video. I think so if I was to do that video, I think Evelyn would probably win the companion round. But yeah, here she's amazing, and there's a couple of nice twists and turns, and Yeetie Toaster is pretty great as Goddard, the Cyberman expert doctor person. He's really good as well. He sounds more American here than he did in the TV movie, but that's not complaints. The Cybermen actually have a pretty cool design, kind of a mix of half human, half Cyberman, but that's explained in the story. And the Sixth Doctor's blue coats. That's a nice attempt to give the Doctor a bit more of well, this Doctor anyway, a more tasteful costume. Fun fact, this was actually Big Finish's first character action figure. The first action figure from a Big Finish character was the Sixth Doctor in blue outfit. This was a rare action figure from the late 2000s. I don't know if any other Big Finish action figure or Big Finish character or character with a Big Finish audio costume was released anytime between late 2000s, early 2010s, and 2019 when they released the B&M Dr. Dalek sets. Certainly I would like to see more of them come later down the line. I would have liked to have gotten some, but they didn't do them at my shop for some reason. And hopefully they'll go on the Christmas list. But they look really good. So yeah, Real Time it's got some good stuff, and I think I gave it some good points in the review. However, I don't think the story is that particularly amazing either. And the webcast, whilst the images are much nicer and cleaner and more colourful than Death Comes to Time, I think I think it still needs a bit of work in the animation department. They do start doing a little bit of that, but I don't think it actually becomes a bit that much animated until the next webcast. Like I said, with that, my original problems with Sharda before the rewatching was that it just looked like a showing of pretty artwork pictures, and that's exactly what Death Comes to Time and Real Time, apart from the bits where Real Time have these slight movements, are exactly that. Sharda's a bit better, so you actually see characters kind of moving a little bit. And that brings me on to number 2. Number 2 is Sharda 2003, or as the 2017 Steelbook Blu-ray for the 2017 animated version calls it, Return to Sharda. I just call it Sharda 2003 over here, or Sharda 2003 webcast. This doesn't exactly completely remake the original Sharda. There's a couple of changes. There is beat for beat scene recreations, more or less, maybe with some changes, but there are brand new or different. But there are brand new scenes or changes to other scenes that were in the story that you could see in the linking material version or in the 2017 version. Plus a 4 or 5 minute prologue at the very start. These bits are probably by Gary Russell. He definitely wrote the opening, and he probably adapted the story. This is technically a practice at adapting the books, I guess, or the comic strips later down the line. This is this is a shard. This is basically it's the Lost Story. It's a prelude to the Lost Stories adaptations. I guess this is an unofficial prelude to that series. 2 more of which have been recently released. Like I said, I think the animation here after rewatching it is a bit better. It actually does look a little bit more animated as opposed to a arty picture show like I thought it used to be, and what the previous 2 definitely were, with some slight animations on Real Time's case. There is actual animation here as well as the arty pictures, and it actually looks really nice for the most part. Best use of the artwork and animation of the 3 Flash websites so far, webcasts. However, my number 1 choice, the best of the webcasts, and I think you could consider this as a Flash webcast, but it's got the animation by Cosgrove Hall. It's actual animated as opposed to color artwork, pictures, and backgrounds, as opposed to artwork, pictures of characters and backgrounds, maybe with a bit of animation. But Scream the Shulker, properly animated story by Cosgrove Hall professionals. Well, maybe the others were professional. Also, Cosgrove Hall sadly closed down shortly after doing the Invasions missing episodes as well, and after Infinite Quest, but they closed down. not long afterwards, which is a real shame. They're really good. So in honour of the now closed Cosgrove Hall, I will be giving my #1 spot to their first animated Doctor Who project, Scream of the Shauker. Yeah, the animation is amazing, really amazing. It blends itself to the story really well. Also, this is the best story of the four. Sharda would have been if it was a beat for beat. Sharda would have been if it was a complete remake plus the prologue. However, because they changed some stuff, it's not beat for beat all the way through. So the story isn't 100% perfect. Well, so the story isn't quite as good as the older version, the original. Plus the fact that some of the actors weren't as invested in it as some of the actors for the original and for the 2017 versions, including Lana Ward, who's in all of them. Scream the Shulker, on the other hand, has a brilliant story. Easily the best of the four, because Sharda's was, like I said, it wasn't a complete beat-for-beat remake. Also got some really great characters. I mean, Alison doesn't do an awful lot, but she's good. The Doctor is great. Richard E. Grant, the only unofficial Doctor in these 4 webcasts. He's great. He's fun. He's really enjoyable. And whilst I do prefer Atkinson as Rowan Atkinson from Fatal Death as the best unofficial Doctor of the Wilderness Years, Richard E. Grant's second Doctor, the Shulker Doctor, is the second best. See the ranking, with Richard E. Grant's Fatal Death Doctor coming third. Then the rest of the Fatal Death ones, see ranking. But yeah, I think Scream the Shulker is really creative, really imaginative. The only thing that kind of lets it down for me is that some of the screams that the Shulker have, they do get a bit on my nerves, but as that's part of their character, I can accept that. Some of the animation could have had a little bit more cleanup, but considering the type of animation this one is compared to the other 3, it's a massive step up. And Cosgrove Hall would improve for the next 2 projects they will do for Doctor Who. The 2 missing episodes of The Invasion that they animated, episodes 1 and 4, and The Infinite Quest, which, both say what you like about them, but they're definitely beautifully animated. And I still consider The Invasion's missing episode reanimations to be the best ones pre the BBC Studios era of animated missing episodes, Power of the Daleks onwards. So, yeah, Scream the Shulker is definitely a really good story, and I highly recommend you check it out. It's definitely great. It's on DVD, so this will be the easiest one to check out because it's on DVD. Real Time and Death Comes to Time, you can still find it on YouTube. Sharda is the difficult one. Unless you're able to access it on the website, you can't really find it on YouTube. If the 2013 DVD doesn't play on your computer like it did for mine for some reason, then you'll have to rely on the Blu-ray, the Steelbook Blu-ray. And if you don't have Blu-ray, then, or if that Steelbook is not available, then you're pretty much stumped when it comes to Sharda 2003. Sorry. It's not my fault they removed it from YouTube. In fact, I think it's been blocked in our country for some reason, in the UK. If it's not blocked in your country, you might be able to find it on YouTube. Anyway, so the ranking for these 4 are, to recap, number 4, Death Comes to Time. Number 3, Real Time. Number 2, Sharda 2003 webcast. And number 1, Scream of the Shulker. So yeah, that's it from me. I'll be doing the Wilderness Years ranking next. For the overall ranking of all 9 Wilderness Years stuff, with the Death of the Doctor's cutscene as an honourable mention. Then it's the 8 and War Doctor top 5 moments ranking. Then Series 1. Yay! We're getting ever closer to Rose. As far as the decade rankings are concerned, the next one will be the mid to late 2000s ranking. So this will come after the End of Time. And I'll be doing the End of Time as a whole ranking. And I'll be doing the End of Time as a whole review. So the next decade ranking will be coming after the End of Time. And will probably be before the 10th Doctor ranking, because End of Time Part 2 came out in 2010. So the top 10 10th Doctor stories will go after the 2000s, the mid to late 2000s ranking, due to End of Time Part 2, his last episode technically taking place in the 2010s, not the 2000s. So yeah, his top 10 ranking will go afterwards. The overall specials ranking will also come in between those 2 rankings, and then after the 10th Doctor one, it will be Series 5's reviews. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. And more than 30 years, sorry, wrong, but it would be, but let's just say it rewrites the TV movie, but let's just say that it basically erases the TV movie out of existence, and basically that didn't happen. But basically, it sees the end of Doctor Who. But it's not here due to being... Yeah, that always happens. Yeah, that tends to happen these days. This story came out in 2002. Yes, we got it. But the positives here are somehow better. That's not a complaint much. But that's not a complaint much. But that's not a complaint. Yeah, like I said, and that's exactly what Death Comes to Time, and to a lesser extent. So I can give them a big praise. Yeah, so that one will go second. So the 10th Doctor top 5, and then after that will be Series 5. Okay, so that's it from me. The specials ranking will also come up. The overall specials ranking will also come between the mid to late 2000s ranking and the 10th Doctor top 10